bit of the details of manufactured homes versus the modular homes. We're going to highlight a couple things to give you guys a better understanding of this. I was in this business back in the early 90s for the better part of 5 years, so I have a pretty good understanding of the differences. And we'll get into that right now. I want to respect everybody's time, so we'll move right in. So under the manufactured homes, the building code for that is HUD, right? Department of Housing and Urban Development. And the homes that qualify were built from June 15th, 1976 to current, okay? Anything older than that, we cannot get any of the, we can't do financing on it, okay? So I'm going to jump right in here. The biggest question that most people are trying to understand is what's the difference? The manufactured home is built on a frame, okay? So when you go back many, many years ago to the single wide mobile home industry, when they started out, those single wide mobile homes came out, they went into parks, and they were put on pillars or cement slabs. And when you think about, you know, a mobile home or a trailer or a camper, something along those lines, there's a frame underneath that. So that's how those homes were set in mobile home parks. They were set on cement blocks and they were leveled, and then utilities hooked up, and then the skirting was put around them, and they lived happily ever after. Then as things evolved, the double wide came along, okay, which is basically two single wides put together, right? So now you have 4 frame rails, same scenario, right? Same thing. All 4 blocked up in a park, set, leveled, utilities hooked up, and skirting, okay? So that is kind of how the double wide or manufactured home started to evolve. And then moving on, people started putting those on property, okay? And same thing, they were putting them on pillars, and then they evolved into crawl spaces, and then obviously evolved into full basements, okay? So the manufactured home slash double wide, okay, can be set on pillars, crawl space, or a full foundation, okay? And the biggest way that you guys as listing agents or buyer's agents can determine if a home that's sitting on a full foundation is in fact a HUD built manufactured home or double wide is go down into the basement and look up. If you see 4 giant steel rails or frame rails, without a doubt, that is a manufactured home. That's a double wide, okay? No question. Doesn't matter what the roof pitch is, doesn't matter what the interior is, if they have drywall, does not matter, okay? If it has 4 frame rails underneath it, it is a manufactured home, okay? It's a double wide, all right? Now, moving on to the modular homes, okay? They are not built on a frame. They are built just like a stick-built house, okay? There's no frame underneath them. They are built in a controlled environment, and then they are actually put onto a lowboy trailer and transported to the lot, okay? Rolled on or craned on to a full foundation. They have got to go on to a full basement, just like a stick-built home, okay? They can't go on pillars. They can't go on a cement slab type thing because there's no frame underneath them. They have got to set on the steel plate of the basement, of whatever that foundation is. And generally speaking, you're going to have a center I-beam to support that as a general rule of thumb. Some basements are a little bit different. But again, if you were to go into the basement of a quote modular and look up, all you're going to see is floor joists, just like a stick-built home, okay? That is the biggest difference between the two, okay? Modular home built to a HUD, or I'm sorry, BOCA, and no frame rail, and the manufactured home is built to HUD, and it is built on a full frame, Okay, so those are the two big differences. All right, and we can do some questions afterwards for you guys. Okay, so the financing. Now, this is the tricky part with the two of them. Okay, the manufactured home, again, when these come out many, many years ago, they had a title, right? Just like a car, right? Because if they went into a park, they were on leased land or rented property. And so when they did the financing, they had a title, just like a car, and that's how that home was put together back in the day. Okay. But as time evolved and these homes got put onto property, now we need to have that title retired to the property. Okay, so if the home is a 1995 Skyline Palm Bay, let's just say that's a manufacturer. Okay, and it is whatever serial number it is, and it's located on 123 Smith Road. All right, that home has to be connected, deeded, recorded to that property in order for us to do financing. Okay, if it is not, then we have an MV16 form, and that needs filled out by the seller along with the title sent to Harrisburg so that it can be retired. Okay, I think we're doing it online now. I haven't done one online to speed that process up a little bit, but that title has got to be retired to that property. Okay, that way it's one unit, all one, when we're financing. Second thing we need are there's what's called HUD tags. Okay, these are two metal postcard type size plates that will be on the hitch side of that home. They'll be riveted to the siding. Okay, and on there, the most important part is the serial number, and the serial number will have serial number and then part A or half A, and the other side will be the same serial number half B. Okay, it's very important that we have those and make sure that they are the same. Okay, because again, when these homes come off the assembly line and they're put into the parking area of a large manufacturing plant, and then they get shipped to a dealership, and then the dealership puts it on your foundation or what have you, we certainly don't want a mismatch of two manufacturers or two different serial numbers. So for financing wise, we need to make sure that those HUD tags read the same serial number, part A and part B. Okay, that's number two. Number three is what is called a data sheet. This is a legal size piece of paper that is usually affixed to the inside of a kitchen cabinet. Sometimes it could be in the furnace door as well, but most of the time this is going to be on the inside of the kitchen cabinet. The most important piece of information on this data sheet is the roof load. Okay. Most of the homes come out of Indiana, okay, the state of Indiana, and they're shipped to Arizona, Texas, Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Okay, each one of those states is different due to weather, right? Michigan, Pennsylvania, the roof load has got to be stronger because of snow, where you're not going to have that in, say, Florida or Texas, right? So the roofs are built differently depending on where that home is going. And that data sheet is going to give us that information to confirm that that home was properly built for the climate that we're in, Western Pennsylvania, let's call it. Okay. So that's the third piece. So we need title retired, we need a copy of the HUD tags, and we need a copy of that data sheet. Okay. And then last but not least, the majority of lenders are looking for a structural engineer report stating that that home is affixed to either the ground, the foundation correctly. Okay, so if it's on pillars, and say it's on a couple acres on pillars with some skirting, they want to make sure that it's tied down correctly, for tornado purposes, right? And the same thing on a basement. They want to make sure it's fixed properly to the basement. The frame rails are connected to the cross frame rails that are in the basement. A manufactured home basement is built a little differently than a stick-built home. Because there's different weight capacities, and there's cross beams that have to be put in place so that that home can be set down on that properly. Okay, and we need to have a structural engineer come in, confirm that that's all done. There's a handful of lenders that don't require it. but as a general rule of thumb, we want to put that in play and say that that's something we're going to need. Okay. All right. So a question on that. What if the HUD tags aren't there? What if we can't find the data sheet? There's a website called ibts.org that is a manufactured home certification site. Okay. So we input the current owner's name, the VIN number, and the title number, and they can do the research for us and get us copies of the HUD tags and the data sheet. Last time I needed to do that, I think it was $100 or $150 charge to get those, but I don't know for sure right now what the fee is. But there is a small fee to get replacements of that. Okay, so that's kind of the rundown on the difference between the two. Again, frame is the big key. Financing for the manufactured home, as we say, the title needs to be retired, HUD tags, data sheet, and generally a structural engineer report. My apologies for the misspelling there. I don't know what happened there. And then moving on to modular financing, it's the exact same thing as a stick-built home. There's nothing different, nothing whatsoever. The appraiser sometimes will make a comment that it's a modular. That doesn't matter. There's nothing different in that arena. So, like I said, I'm going to go back to it because this is really the big key. Build on a frame. That is the #1 way to determine what that house is. Okay. So again, if you're a listing agent or you're a buyer's agent and you're looking at one and the terminology is all over the place, all you got to do is get out in the basement and look up, and that'll tell you if you need to have the title retired and these other items. Okay. So hopefully that helped. It seems to be becoming more popular with people being educated, but for those that you're not, certainly you can ask me questions now. This is my email, there's my phone number. Again, I've been in the industry before. I've got a great understanding of how they're built. I've been to the manufacturing plants many times, and I think that actually I think both are built well. Modular homes, I wouldn't hesitate to live in one tomorrow. I mean, they're built very well. So so that's it. Anastasia was going to see if there was any questions, and I'm happy to answer those now or at any point.
I am not seeing any as of right this moment.
Okay, we'll give everybody a couple minutes.
Okay, Jen asked, do you do single wides?
We do not. Good question, Jen. The single wide's a little different, and we looked at it. As far as CoLab is concerned, just to give you a quick rundown, we are a broker, so we have over 30 different lenders in our arsenal, as I will call it. There are a couple that will do the single wides. We just don't do enough of them to sign up. So my recommendation is, if you're relatively local, Clarion County Bank in Clarion will do single wides. The last that I knew, and there was a young lady there. I don't think she's still there, so I lost touch with who's there. But you could give them a call. And then online, 21st Century Mortgage is probably the nation's largest single wide, and they call it a chattel loan. So if you have a single wide in a park, a double wide in a park, or a single wide on a piece of property, 21st Century would be the go-to. Hopefully that answers your question.
Next question is from Fred Amendola, and he had asked, what if the structure is in a park?
Yeah, if it's in a park, Fred, again, that's a chattel loan. That's going to, the title was going to stay with it because it's on rented land. or leased land, and we cannot do that. So that would go to, like I said, Clarion or possibly 21st Century. There may be a shot in the dark with a portfolio, bank locally, none of which that I know of. But that's basically a car loan. Terms a little bit shorter, down payments a little bit higher. That's the case with anything in a park. Good question.
As of right now, there are no other questions.
Give everybody a minute or so. And like I said, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever that come up later, or your friends or anybody, business partners, feel free to reach out. You can give me a shout via phone call, text, shoot me an email. Happy to help out. Like I said, to retire the title, MV16 form is what's required to do that. I have a copy. I'm happy to email it out to anybody. And then the ibts.org is the name of the website to get replacements for the HUD tags and the data sheet if need be. So so hopefully that helps.
I have a question from Keith that says, who is the king of MH lending?
Who is the king of what?
MH lending.
We are. No, I've been in the business a long time and been in the mortgage business a long time. That's for me personally, just a quick note. That's how I got into the mortgage business, because I was in manufactured housing. I worked as a general sales manager for a dealership that's no longer in business at this point. It was down in Cranberry. But I moved into the financing part of it, and really started to do the majority of the financing for our location and one of our satellite locations as well. And then that just kind of led me into the mortgage world to do, stick builts and the whole ball of wax. So I've been at it for about 23 years. And again, been very familiar with the mods and the manufactured homes. So, but again, I can't highlight it enough. I mean, there's no need to argue with anybody about anything. If that house is on a foundation, a full basement, all you got to do is go downstairs and look up. That's going to be the determining factor. If you see frame rails, it's a manufactured home. End of story. So hopefully it helped out today. I hope everybody got a little bit of that. And thank you so much for your time. If there's anything else I or the company can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.